Yeah, we're kind of in the real sort of source of what the story is doing. Now that we've got through the intro, I'm curious. Very quickly round the horn. Yeah, where are we at with this one? Um, Patrick, kick us off. What's your vibe at this stage?
Okay, I feel like I sense where this is going, what it's doing. It's the last days of these people kind of vibe. You know, what's really important in life? What do you want to spend final days doing? Um, you know, like going through grief and acceptance, and you know, or like yeah, there's like a lot of like there's a lot of e- examples of different people at different stages of grief and acceptance, and uh yeah, it's just like a real. Not that I've seen this movie, but from what I understand about its plot, it's sort of similar to Melancholia.
Hmm.
You know, just a bunch of people who know they're going to die. You know, figuring out what they want to do and what's important to them, and yeah, it's that kind of vibe, and I dig it. And I mean, I don't know for sure that's going to end very grimly, but I very much suspect it is.
I feel like the second they
Yeah.
go, oh yeah, that theorem is wrong, it's basically they're cooked. You know what I mean?
Mm. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, the more than halfway into the book now, and it's been building up to like, oh, there's this mysterious signal coming from San Francisco, and then what does it turn out to be? Just you know, some like a bottle clinking on some
Oh,
dashboard or something like
dude,
that. So you know, I understand what the story's doing.
that was so banal and devastating. And I love the way that they build
Mm,
up to where everyone is like beforehand. They're like, it's going to be nothing. It's going to be like they have to keep telling themselves it's going to be nothing because the second they have any ounce of hope, oh, brutal.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Jam, where are you at?
The the last chapter ended on the Grand Prix, and that was probably like the closest I've felt to this story making sense for what I would expect from like the real world. Um because like it the first chapter in this section starts off with like trying to tell the wife about how she's going to have to give the shot to her daughter, and the wife is like, "What, you think we're going to get sick?" And like I know that's, I mean, some people would just refuse to acknowledge that this stuff is coming, but too much of the story just seems like, for me, maybe I'm too practical, I don't know, like it doesn't seem like everyone in this story is living the way that people would really be living until you get to the Grand Prix. And then I'm like, okay, this hits. This makes sense. This is people acting like they would because they're racing like they're going to die because they're all going to die. Like, I loved that last chapter of the racing. That's like the realist that this story has felt to me. Um, and then all of the stuff in the sub and everything and finding the signal, like that played out like kind of like I expected it to. So it didn't really hit that hard except for the one sailor jumping ship, which was a really cool moment, and I totally would have done that same thing. So that was also like very realistic.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, part of what the I think part of what the book is, and like part of what the story is these characters figuring out how to how do you emotionally accept this fact, and what does your behavior do or not do as you do the work to emotionally accept this fact, right? Like the reason why people are behaving inconsistently and like unrealistically is because they're behaving inconsistency and unrealistically, not because it's written poorly. Like that's what the book is. And I think yes, it is just that you are very practical. But I think that Shute is thinking through like the ecology of this moment of like you get Moira multiple times, um, you know, throughout this particular reading, like refuse a drink, because she is sort of almost come back around to pretending that the world isn't going to end. Like now that there is less time left, people are starting to behave like things are normal again. I don't know. There's a lot going on in terms of like the ecology of society and the way people are reacting to this. Where when there was a lot of time left, they are drinking all the time, they're partying all the time, no one's really doing anything. And then when there's a little bit of time left, they're almost trying to behave normally, such that they have like some normal time left. But then on top of that, you have the Grand Prix, which is like a thing that happens every year in Melbourne, but is kind of like, as you say, Jam, like kind of perverted into this almost like death race style, like, they race in the rain, which, famously the Melbourne GP when it rains is like super dangerous. Like we saw that last year at the Melbourne GP. And yeah, I don't know. Shute is doing this really fantastic job of blending the completely fantastical, like people completely overreacting to things or underreacting to things, and then this complete rational, like, well, yeah, that makes sense. Like that is what you would do. And I think the contrast of those two things is what the book is. And that feeling of discomfort is the book. Like it is trying to make you go, why? Like what? Why did they do that? I don't know. Like, does that make sense? I'm kind of agreeing with you, but I'm kind of doing the normal me thing of being like, that's the point.
I've said it consistently that I also keep coming back to the era in which the book was written, influencing so much of how I'm interpreting it. So I don't know how much that influences what we're discussing. But like the stuff with the crib and just like the dad getting the crib for his kid, like the way that it's discussed is so alien to how modern fathers think. So like just that one fact being so alien, I'm like, okay, now I'm reinterpreting the entire rest of this work as also being alien because of this one thing that is so weird to me.
I will. I've got more to say on this later, but I have come around on a couple of the things you raised last time around some of the gender politics in this book. Yeah. Just before we get into it and do the summary and stuff, do you guys want to guess like what Nevil Shute's profession was? Like what his background was?
Oh, I
thought I'd do a bit of bibliography at because I didn't want to do it last time because I figured that would color your reading, but now that we're kind of toward the pointy end of things.
Well,
I am guessing a geologist because gut reaction, no clue.
I feel like he sort of has a sense of like government structure and stuff like that. So I want to say, I don't know, just like some sort of administration person for the government.
That's pretty close to spot on. So he starts as a naval engineer, and part of the difficulty he has is that he has to write under a pen name because he feels like his fellow engineers won't take him seriously if they find out he's writing fiction. Remember, like this is like 1910, right? Like the world is in a weird place. Writing fiction is like not the best use of your time, as far as like serious people are concerned. And so yeah, he serves in the military for a while in the Navy, and then he eventually gets really bored of like working for the Navy, and he moves on to like the to working on airships. And then he gets really frustrated with the airships because like he doesn't have enough, like they don't give enough latitude. So then he starts his own like airship research development company that develops a bunch of stuff for World War II. So truly, in the long form, responsible for some of the most horrific bombings in the history of our planet, but did it because he needed to pay the rent. Many such cases. But yeah, so he was like a naval engineer, and then an aeronautics technology developer, essentially. So would go on to become Tolkien's kind of Tolkien kind of viewed this guy, and he comes up in the letters to a minimal extent, but views this guy as like sort of the progenitor of some of the worst technology ever made. And in particular, like I don't know if you guys know this, but like Tolkien in his letters, he hates airplanes.
No, I did not know that.
Because you got to remember,
that's why he never uses the Eagles for anything, because he hates the.
Very good. But yeah, he hates airplanes because he's watching what they're doing in World War II, and this just sort of senseless destruction and bloodshed that these machines enable. He's just writing these big letters to his son about it.
Was Shute an English immigrant? Did I remember you saying that?